Zimbabwe, and welcome to this week's edition of Transformation Matters. My name is Yvonne, and I do hope I find you well. This week we want to talk about an issue that has become a point of celebration amongst nations: 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. To discuss more about this issue, we've invited the NDC Women's Assembly Chairwoman, Honorable Lynnette Karenyi. Honorable, welcome to Transformation Matters.
Thank you. How are you, Yvonne?
I'm well, thank you.
I'm good.
We are in the final days, so to speak, in celebrating the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. How has the NDC been commemorating these days?
Yeah, we are commemorating the 16 days of gender activism. We have given it a theme that we want to make sure that the women and children will also celebrate this event. Though we have got some other things to celebrate, but as you know, Yvonne, the issue of gender-based violence is increasing each and every day. As you are aware, recently in Parliament, and as a female legislature, you have witnessed, I think, the issue of harassment in Parliament. And can you imagine, as a mother and as a member of Parliament and also as the chairperson of the Assembly of Women, if other women out there were watching that video, obviously they will not have the courage to stand up and stand for the parliamentary seats or for the council. Why? Because they will say, if this violence is happening in Parliament, what of outside? So Yvonne, the issue of celebrating, yes, we are celebrating because it's there, but there is little to celebrate about it, because every day, each and every day, you hear this sexual harassment, you hear this woman who has been killed, who has been murdered because of this violence in homes, in works, and in our society. So we still have a lot to do so that we manage this issue of sexual harassment, this issue of gender-based violence in our society.
You have raised a fundamental issue about the incident that took place in Parliament recently. And that was really sad. I mean, you had to be rushed to the hospital, and also Honorable had to be rushed to the hospital. Now, we want to talk about creating safe spaces for children and young and women in general. And is our Parliament a safe space for women?
No, it's not even safe, because if you remember, that day we were supposed to debate, or we were supposed to hear the issue of our national budget. And I have raised the issue of sexual harassment in Parliament, whereby the other male ZANU-PF MPs are harassing MPs from my party. And you know, they have this weapon that they will say, if they propose to a woman, and if that woman does not agree, by the end of the day, if that woman raises in Parliament, they will start to heckle, calling other people names. And to be very honest with you, I thought that Parliament was going to be a respected house whereby we were going to debate issues. And to my surprise, you find that instead of those women to be strong, they are now being intimidated by this kind of ZANU-PF MPs, whereby they are doing this sexual harassment to women. And you know, that day I decided to rise and say it out, because that was the only opportunity for me to say it to the world, that even in Parliament, there is sexual harassment. And I think if we start from there, and if those men start to behave, obviously even outside people will behave. But I'm happy some of the other colleagues from ZANU-PF, they are now starting to apologize, which means they were named and shamed, and it has helped. And that house, I don't think is safe. To me, it's not even safe, but is going to be safe because we are there. We are going to say it out, we are going to stand, we are going to speak. And I think and I believe that the women out there must have courage so that we come out in numbers, and if we increase women in the house, obviously we will manage to make sure that the other colleagues will not even do anything bad to our female MPs.
And we've noticed that the number of female legislators in the House of Assembly have significantly dropped, as opposed to a situation where we're expecting the numbers to actually increase, because the Constitution does make provision for 50-50 representation in every sphere of our society. Now I want to ask about the proportional representation percentage that Parliament has given to women, to say women can occupy the positions in this capacity. How has that helped in terms of getting to the gender parity? Has it helped, or it has actually hindered the progress that you were making in terms of advocating for 50-50?
Yeah, Yvonne, as you rightly said, it has hindered. I think it is disadvantaging most of the women, because the issue of 60%, which is in the Constitution, it is coming to an end for this 9th Parliament. And what I know and what I've realized is, when we go for the primaries, in both parties, MDC, ZANU-PF or any other party, the men out there, they will say you have got already 60 seats reserved for you. So with these 210 seats, obviously you can't come and claim the space, which will disadvantage us, because the 60 seats are for both parties in Parliament. But if you come to our party, they will think that we've already 60 in our pocket, but they don't even realize that the 60 is going to come after we have won the percentage in Parliament. So for example, in our party, we managed to score 24. And if you get to understand that we've got only those 24, but if you now come to these 210 seats, we have only 7 female MPs, which means out of 210, we were supposed to get 105. So I believe that if we must make sure that we implement the 50-50, which is in the Constitution, whereby we have a zebra system, whereby we have a male, a female, a male, and a female. That's where we are going to achieve the issue of gender equality. But if we continue with this 60%, we will continue to disadvantage ourselves. Yes, it's either we must have both, the PR, the 60 seats, and these 210. We must have our 50%. Look in South Africa, look in Rwanda, and any other countries. They are having both the first past the post and the proportional. So for us to achieve our gender equality, I think the parties must agree and to implement the issue of 50-50, whereby we have 105 male, 105 female. Then this 60 will encourage other women, whereby we will have this proportional representation from any other political parties to take the space. Because if we continue to have the 60 seats only, to me, it is disadvantaging us. Because you understand, Yvonne, we are growing old, and we also want these young women to come up and take these spaces. So if you continue to have the 66 only, in other words, in ZANU-PF and MDC, it will now go back to say who will benefit, either in terms of seniority or in terms of maybe you are popular in a certain area or what. But by the end of the day, the seniority will take precedence. And I strongly feel that if you want to encourage these women, these young women, to stand up and take these positions, obviously we must make sure that maybe if we want to continue with it, we must have some certain clauses whereby we also have these young women to take this position. Because by the end of the day, the Parliament will end up being the gogos and grannies only. And these young women are one at these positions. So I strongly feel that if you want to have more women in Parliament, let's have the 50-50 in the constitution. And if you want to have the 60 seats only, in other words, let's have clauses whereby we also have these young women taking these positions, because by the end of the day, they will end up wana Yvonne Mungori Paji, then wana Gogo isusu tinongopinda. Yes.
When you are also saying create these spaces,
yes.
You raise an interesting element. Yes, the proportional representation ends in the 9th Parliament. Are there propositions to have it extended?
Yeah, from both parties, I have realized that they want to move for an amendment whereby we have an extension. And I think that both parties will support that, because currently we have a motion in Parliament which was raised by Honorable Biti about the issue of gender, and in that motion the implementation or the proposals where we must extend the issue of the peer, because in Parliament we have few women in Parliament. So the other colleagues are saying, I think we must extend, but I strongly feel that if you want to extend, then we must sit down and make sure that other women will also benefit, not only us who are in Parliament already.
Okay, and let's talk about politics. Is it a safe zone for women? Because already we've talked about the incident in Parliament the other day, and we go back in history. Basically, our politics has been toxic as a nation. We've had violence being meted on people, and women being raped, their husbands being killed, their children being maimed, women being killed in their communities for supporting a particular political party, especially in the NDC. We've had incidences of women who have been killed, maimed and abused, basically. Now, with political developments, improving in courts, I say that reservedly, because what we've seen the killing on the 1st of August. The woman was shot in the back. How, as a nation, can we move into a place where we create politics to be a safe place for women?
I strongly feel that there is supposed to be a political will, both ZANU-PF and MDC and other opposition parties
in Zimbabwe in general.
Yeah. Because, to be very honest with you, if you give a woman space, to be very honest, that woman will manage to put a mark in every level, whether at work, whether in politics or anywhere. So I think we just needed to create a conducive environment whereby we have these code of conducts being followed, because the code of conducts are there. So we just need to implement them so that these women out there, especially from the informal sectors, from the formal sectors, in the middle class, some of those women, they are not willing to come and participate. Most of them, they say, if I go to participate, then my house or my business will be banned or what. So if we create this environment to be conducive, to be very honest to Yvonne, women out there, they really want to participate. But the power is not given. We must demand for it. I must encourage women out there, even in the business sectors. They cannot continue to say, you guys, you are not doing anything for us, you are not doing anything for us. We want their knowledge, we want their skills. They must be able to come and join us so that we also claim our space. The issue is, you cannot continue to ungochema. We must be heard. How are we going to be heard? We must participate. It's either you must join a political party of your choice. Then you also want to engage yourself to the other fellow colleagues. I strongly feel that for us to achieve, we must take our men on our side. Then we move, because we strongly feel that they must treat us as their mothers. If they treat us as their mothers, automatically the respect will be there. You know, I know very well it's so painful that after the elections we received these killings, and this other lady, if you look at her, she was coming from her work. And after I received these commission hearings, the husband strongly says, we are not political, we don't even have a political party. We are just prayer warriors. My wife was a church goer. She was not in any political party. But you know what? These things will instill fear in these women who are not in the political arena. But what I want to say to them is, tinosvika kupi Zimbabwe chingoporongwa, and we want to make sure that they will come and join us. They must come and give us their skills. They must come and join politics so that we put Zimbabwe where we want it to be. And what I want to tell them, to tell to other women is, let's come together and fight for our rights, because it's our right to contest in any level. And you know, if they continue to say the political space, yes, they must come. Look at these child marriages. We must fight them in parliament. We have these mapo stories whereby vana vasikubaiwa, whereby vana vari kurodzwa at 12. So if they continue to say zviti, who is going to fight for us? Who is going to stand for these young children who are being abused? Who is going to fight this issue of gender-based violence? They must come and join so that we create the space to be conducive.
Let's look at the current economic environment in the country. You know, people are spending hours in fuel queues, and is that not some form of violence that is taking place in our society? And how is that impacting the women in particular?
To me, it's already violence. You know why, Yvonne, I'm saying it's violence? Because you wake up in the morning, you go to work. When you go to work, you hear that in OK supermarket, there is cooking oil. You go there, you leave your work. When you go there, you are in the queue. That queue is either Yvonne in front, Saddam at the back. Is that not sexual harassment? Automatically sexual harassment, which is happening. And it has been created by ZANU-PF mismanagement. So to me, it's clearly a sexual abuse and sexual harassment, whereby we must rise and stand and fight the government to say, enough is enough. It's continuing each and every day. They say the cooking oil is $3, and where are you getting it for $3? We are getting it for $10 to $15. So to me, it's a purely an abuse. You go to the bank. This old granny is coming from Gokwe Nembuzia. It is coming to queue at the bank from 5 a.m. She's there. She did not get the money. She did not get the pension. She will sleep at that queue. So to me, it's purely harassment, whereby women are coming to the banks from morning. They will sleep in the queue. And the baba going for the fuel.
10 hours.
For fuel. 10 hours. Queue. So to me, the harassment is there.
Okay. And is there a deliberate attempt amongst civil society, women's organization, to at least place women in spaces where they can speak and have their voices heard, or grooming young women to rise and take up positions?
Yvonne, I always say to the NGOs and the civil society, you must catch them young. And I pass, go and groom them. In any space, level, because this is where these women must be taught that, and they must be educated in terms of capacity building, so that they will have these guts to say, I want to stand as a councillor, I want to stand as a member of parliament. To me, a member of parliament who has already been voted, at least we have an achievement. We have already achieved. But what we want to achieve, do vari ikoko kwana Gokwe Nembuzia, vari kuchimani mani, vari pasi pekuti they can't even get anything from anybody. This is where I think this civic organization, they must start now. not to start in 2023. They must start now, so that they go down there, groom these women, so that they will have this spirit to say, I'm now confident, I need to go and campaign. I strongly feel these NGOs must create this opportunity for those young girls out there, and those Vana Gogo and the others. Yes, when it comes to issue of child marriages, what are they supposed to do? When the girl has been raped, what are they supposed to do? Because Yvonne kuruzeva kumusha, ndo kunonzi gogo, muzukuru akarepwa nemwana wao. Then they will say, muzukuru, sekuru vanozosungwa, don't go and report. But these NGOs, if they go down there and start to educate these women, these gogos, by the end of the day, because people will be educated and equipped with what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to go and report, even if it has been done by my husband or by my son, I have to report. So I strongly feel these NGOs, surely they must go down there to educate these women, to educate them so that they will have the confidence. Even we are looking for candidates. These women will stand up and say, we want to apply. Because to be very honest with you, with the past elections, we asked for the CVs. And the CVs from women, they were not that pleasing. Why? Is because they don't have this.
Was it in terms of capacities or in terms of numbers? What was it?
In terms of numbers.
Okay.
In terms of numbers, our numbers were not pleasing because we are asking for 50-50. But if the party has said, fine, my God, let's have those women, you will see we were not reaching the 50-50. In other words, we still have a gap IPAP. So we want to be capacitated, not in terms of education or in terms of what. Yvonne, you can stand to be a councillor at any level. You don't even need to go to A level or to university. University even at 50 or 60 years. And if you remember, if you ask them, you need to know it away. So they need to be educated. Yes,
you won't know it.
You will not know it because these are the women out there.
There are allegations, Mama. There are allegations that the women who want to rise within the MDC, they are unable to do that because there are men who are asking for sexual favors. What's your comment about that?
To be very honest, Yvonne, I'm going to be very blunt. I strongly feel, as a woman, we are not a sexual object. And what I believe is, if you want to be a councillor, you can rise without even anything to do with sexual favor from a man. Because I strongly feel that if a man asks for a favor from a woman, and if you don't want, you can say, I don't want. I've applied to be a councillor, I've applied to be a member of parliament. And what I know in the MDC, you go and do your primaries. If I go to my ward or if I go to my constituents and mobilize women and mobilize youth and men out there, they can vote me without even having favors from a man or from a male colleague. So if there is sexual harassment happening elsewhere, you know, I strongly feel that those women must come up in open, not in social media. We have got our processes internally whereby they can go and approach relevant authorities. If they are afraid, they can come to this assembly of women, then we can deal with their matter. Because to be very honest, Yvonne, you can't say men were asking for sexual favors, then you keep quiet. You have to speak about it.
We need to speak out.
Yes, you need to speak out. That's why we are there. Our nature is kana murume akakupfimba kana usingamudi aumudi. So if you are more than 18 years, then if you are if you have agreed to be in love with the chimuti, then wozotadza kuwa na chigaro. Then you say, I was sexually abused, ipapo pane makwesera. Because what I believe is, if I remember very well, even if somebody has come to Harvest House ari kuda kucontesta onzi CV rake rashaikwa raingodzorerwa on the panel, and you go for primaries or what, and we even had our reserved seats for the local authorities in some of the places, though we did not achieve what we wanted, because in other areas we did not achieve, but we had, even especially in Harare, we had the seats for the women, for the local authorities. So for anybody to say now I did not manage because somebody was asking for sexual favors, women, please come and speak. If it has happened, we need to raise it. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm simply hearing it from the circles. But nobody has come to approach me as their leader so that I will fight for them.
In the Women's Assembly, created the safe space for women to be able to come?
Yes, we have even some forums where we meet as female MPs, as female executive members in provinces, in districts and the like. And I have an open door policy here at Harvest House, whereby if anybody come and approach our coordinator, I will come and speak to them. They have come in several times whereby they say, Mother, inini ndiri kuda kucontesta muward 6 rekukwekwe, but varume vari kuuya vachiti isusu ndepedu tichifighta tichizviwana. So I strongly feel that girls, they must come, women must come with those grievances. Then we will see where the problem is and we'll fight for it if it has happened. Because we don't even encourage sexual harassment at any level. That's why I raised it in Parliament. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Honorable Karenyi. I pray also that the efforts that you are doing will also assist our nation, because the issue that you have talked about is really a painful issue, an issue of rape, child abuse. It's been on the rise in our society. All right, thank you so much, Zimbabwe. That was Honorable Lynnette Karenyi, who was talking and taking us through the space for women as we commemorate the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The theme for this year, the MDC has said, creating safe spaces for women and children. Hear me too. Hashtag hear me too.
Hear me too.
Yeah. So women need to be heard. Men need to hear women. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's edition of Transformation Markers. Do join us again as we talk about more issues affecting Zimbabwe and the community in general. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and I do hope you had a wonderful time. God bless you and thank you so much.